Hello class, this is a Revit tutorial lesson on Revit Part 1. The house you see here is the house we're going to model in Revit. This is an actual built structure being worked on by Delhi's own construction students. So I thought this would be a great project to model. I'm working off of the assignment that you'll find on Vanco Hall. Let's take a look at Revit. Here's my Revit interface at startup. I'm going to go to New. Let's go to Architecture Template. Hit OK. Okay, here's the interface in Revit. The two important windows or panes over here, Properties and Project Browser. This will allow you to select between the views in your model. Elevation, sections, 3D, and here the properties tells you important things about objects or components within your model. If you don't have these, we'll go to View, User Interface, and you want Project Browser, Properties. These are elevation tags. Essentially anything I draw in here, these are like similar to stationary cameras. So if I'm drawing in here, it's automatically going to be reflected and represented in the elevations instantaneously. Let's go, we're going to start as if we were building this house from the bottom up, start with the foundation walls. Here's the example of the finished plan. This is on Vanco Hall, so we'll be drawing this. So I'll go to Revit, in the architecture up here, click on wall. We'll choose a generic 12-inch wall for this foundation. I'm going to use a line. One thing I want to check, a couple of things, is I want the wall to start at level 1. That's the bottom of the wall, base constraint. And I want it to go up to level 2, top constraint. I'll hit apply. The other thing I want to adjust is the finish face exterior. That tells Revit where to grab this wall and run it out. So I left click on the screen, and now I'll type in the first distance 36, enter. Revit defaults to feet, so there is no need for me to enter the mark for feet. For example, I'll type in 6, enter, and that went 6 feet. You could also extend the mouse till you see the desired dimension you want and click. Revit also has this tracking mechanism. Here 32 inches, so I'll have to type 32 inches. Coming back around, it's telling me I'm going to meet this intersection. So I'm going to, when I click on the wall, it gives me information in the properties, and it's telling me this goes from level 1 to level 2. Now we'll look at this in the 3D view up here. And there it is. So as I hold down the middle mouse button, I get to pan around the model. I'll hold shift and the middle mouse button, and I'll orbit around the model. Now I'll go back to level 1. That's my plan. So the next thing I want to do is set up levels. So what I'll do is go to the east elevation. So here's what happens. I clicked on the east elevation. I see 2 levels here, and believe it or not, this is the foundation automatically showing up. So I want to change the levels, names and the height. I'm going to change level 1 just simply by clicking on it to basement plan and hit enter. I'll name my corresponding views. So what happened now is my floor plan automatically was renamed to basement plan. Here I'm going to change the name of this level to first floor plan, and I'll name, so it automatically appears over here, that updated for us. The other thing I would like to do is change the height of this level to 9 feet, enter. And what that did was, since we told our walls the top constraint is this level. When we move that level around, so will the walls. So let's click on the basement plan. This looks good for now. I'm clicking on the first floor plan. So what I'm seeing when I click on my first floor plan is the basement plan below. If you don't see this, let your lab instructor know, and they'll tell you how to get this to appear. So the next thing I think we'll do, we'll go back to the basement plan. We'll work on that a bit more. Let's add a floor to it, the basement floor. Let's see. So click on basement plan. Let's add a structure. Let's add a structural slab. So when I went to structure, slab, we'll use these line tools again. I want to create a slab, of course, within the perimeter, inside perimeter, with this foundation wall. So I'm just tracing the inside line. When I'm done, I'll hit this green check. Alright, so let's see. We'll go to the 3D view, and there's the concrete slab. So I'm trying to select a face. I'll click this button, and it allows me to select the face. So there's my concrete slab. I'll go back to the basement plan. Just checking in on tutorial here. So one thing we want to do, let's just do this, get this out of the way now, is we're on our basement plan. Going to look at view range and view depth. I'm going to set this to unlimited and unlimited. What this does is allows us to see past this level. If you get this, click on this span direction, right click, let's hide that in view. Okay. So we have walls, we have a slab. Let's add a footing now. I'm already on the structure tab. Here's the footing button. We'll go with this 36 by 12 footing, although I'll have to note that that's pretty substantial for a house of this scale. So again, structure, wall, footing. Then I'm just going to click the walls. So you'll see the footing appear as I go on to add more selections, more walls to my selection. Let's go to the 3D view and see what happened. So there it is. We have a wall, slab, footing. In my project browser, back to basement plan. Now, this doesn't look quite right. There's a few adjustments I'd like to make. I'm going to click on the slab, right click, override graphics and view by element. So I want to change the way this slab looks. The surface transparency, I'd like to see right through the slab because I want to see my footing. And the surface pattern, I don't really want to see the surface pattern. So it just made that slab kind of invisible. My footings, I don't want to show a texture, and I'd like to show them dashed. So I'm going to right click, override graphics and view, this time by category. We'll see if all the footings, oops, I clicked the wrong one. By category. So we want no surface patterns, and the projection lines, we know that footings should be dashed. I'm going to put them at a weight of 2. And let's see what this dash 16th looks like. That looks pretty good to me. Surface patterns, again, I'm going to try and click this off, hit apply. Alright, that's what I want my footing to look like. Not bad. This may be a little lighter. We may come back here and fill this with concrete, but for now, that looks pretty good. So moving along in the assignment, going to past, alright, we're moving right along here. Page 12. 13, 14. Alright, let's create a section now through the building. Sections are easy to get going, to get started, and here's the icon for it. So clicking this icon, left click on the screen, we'll drag this out of it, another left click. What happened is a section appeared in my section browser, or my project browser. I'll click on section 1, and here's what I get. Here's the concrete slab that I just made. But this doesn't get built like this. This, of course, sits on top of the footing. So when I select it, you see that the level's basement plan, I'm going to offset it 6 inches. It was a 6-inch slab, and we want to set it 6 inches above the basement plan level. So that puts it on top of the footing. Let's look at our 3D view, and everything's looking good so far. I think now it'd be time to put a first floor deck on, or the floor framing. So let's go to the first floor plan, and here it is. This I'm going to click on this, right click, and hide in view by element, just for now while I'm working. What I'm looking at now is the foundation plan beyond. We can adjust this later to back this out, but for now it's going to be a good thing, so we can see. And what I mean by this is underlay. The base range is basement plan. That means we're seeing the basement plan as an underlay. Let's go to architecture and floor. We'll use the same, generic 12-inch floor for this, and I'm going to use line, tracing the exterior wall of the basement all the way around, and then we'll hit the green check. Do we want our walls to attach to this floor's bottom? I'm going to say yes. So what that does, we'll go to 3D. It makes it so, whatever I do to this floor, I can move it up or down, and the floors are attached to it. So that's pretty helpful to have. So we would want to have said yes there. So now we have the first floor plan. Let's click on this, and we'll back the basement out as the underlay. So we'll just put none here, and you'll see the basement disappear. Next step would be we'll add some first floor walls. Actually, we'll add some first floor walls. We'll make them 8 feet tall. So I went to architecture wall. We're going to use an exterior wall. Let's see. Generic 6 will be okay for now. We can come back and modify it later if we need to. My location line is still finished base exterior. Here's the height, and can also be found here. I'm going to make this 8 feet tall. I'm going to start in this corner and just simply trace the perimeter of the first floor deck. So Revit has these O snaps, or snaps that kind of assist in your drawing. Go to 3D. So there's the result of our first floor walls. Now let's go to interior walls. Same kind of thing, except for we will now use 4 7/8 interior partition. So we'll use that. I'm going to hold up here for part 1 and follow this up immediately with a part 2 video for the same lesson. So stay tuned.